If you're a beginner artist and you feel completely lost, torn in all directions and like you're drowning in tutorials, confusing art advice, and boring drawing exercises, stop. Just stop. Put down your phone, put down your pencil, and hear me out. There is one thing you can do right now that will reduce this overwhelm and give your art practice a clear focus, so that you don't have to waste months or even years spinning your wheels. When I did this one thing, I went from sporadic dabbler in 1,000 kinds of art to focusing and practicing consistently, building a body of work and developing my style. Let me show you how. I am Louise, I am a self-taught, full-time watercolor artist. Welcome to my video series, DIY Art School, where I give you a step-by-step strategy to learn art without burning out or getting bored or quitting. This is episode 2. You can find all of the previous episodes in a playlist that should be linked below in the description. In the previous video, I cleared away some of the most harmful misconceptions that I see about learning art. If you haven't watched that yet, I recommend doing so. Now let's dive into the topic of this episode. If you're a beginner or an aspiring artist, where should you start? What is the best way to start learning art? If you're anything like me, what you are feeling right now is overwhelm, right? You are overwhelmed by the amount of amazing artists online, the quality of their art, their seemingly endless productivity, effortless success. You're overwhelmed by all of the different kinds of art that inspire you, all of the different directions you could go in. How do you pick just one? And you're overwhelmed by the amount of art advice out there. All of the tutorials and the courses and the classes and the art hacks and tricks and tips. Let's just take a deep breath. The best way to kick off your art journey is not by frantically running around in a million directions and burning out without even getting started. It's to create a safe, calm bubble for yourself where practicing your art becomes addictive, where you know exactly what to focus on and what to ignore. When I committed to learning art a few years ago, I thought that I needed to learn everything. I thought that I should learn a little bit of everything because all of the artist self-study curriculums that I found online told me to practice everything from three-point perspective to anatomy to figure drawing to line work, shading, and designing environments, designing vehicle, drawing clothing. And I felt like in order to become a real artist that I should keep my options open and I should be able to do a little bit of everything. I didn't want to niche down anyway. I didn't feel pulled in any particular direction yet. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to paint, just that I wanted to paint. And so I loaded up my to-do list with all of the things that I found in these study curriculums, and I started practicing. And each time I sat down to practice, I had to go through this long list of topics and skills that I should learn, and then again go through a long list of the various tutorials and classes and courses that I had gathered. Most of the time, my practice felt like doing boring homework. I wasn't particularly inspired to do it. I drew things I wasn't excited about. I had no real purpose with learning the things I was learning. I was bored and frustrated. Then I stumbled upon a mini documentary online, and it was about an artist that I was familiar with since before, but I never really researched him or looked him up. I've mentioned his name many times on this channel. His name is Carl Mortens. He is a Swedish-American watercolor artist. He's known for these big, loose, expressive bird paintings. I had seen his work before. I had been impressed by his work, but impressed in that almost overwhelming way where you're almost a bit nauseous and exhausted by the thought that there is someone out there with this kind of insane talent. Again, this word talent, as if anyone is born being able to do what he does. But anyways, I saw this video and my jaw was on the floor. Here was this guy standing over a huge sheet of watercolor paper holding these massive Chinese calligraphy brushes, and he just went straight into the painting. No pencil sketch, no nothing, just started painting, paint dripping all over the place, this bird magically coming to life as if channeled from some higher plane of existence. He mentions in the interview in this video that he always meditates before sitting down to start a painting. He has been studying birds his entire life since he was a kid, so he kind of just knows what they look like. And all he has to do is sit and close his eyes and meditate until this bird becomes crystal clear in his mind, and that's when he just dives in and starts painting. What this video did for me was it made me respect the skills of the artist as opposed to just admiring a bunch of finished artworks. I suddenly had this deep longing to be able to do what he does and to feel what it feels like to be able to create like that. I had always loved birds, and if I could capture them like that, I almost didn't care if anyone ever saw my paintings but me. It would still be worth it. Seeing this video changed my whole approach to learning art. I suddenly had a concrete goal for my practice. I had this person that I could study and research and learn from in secret. A guiding light in the dark forest of learning art. In fact, I didn't even want to learn art anymore. I just had this specific goal of being able to paint birds in this way. This eliminated a lot of shoulds that I thought I should be spending time on, like anatomy and figure drawing and portraiture. I could ignore all of the various art mediums out there and focus on just one or two to begin with, drawing and watercolor. I created a temporary, narrow focus for my art practice, and the path forward became crystal clear. I started practicing bird drawing specifically and painting birds in watercolor every day, obsessively, passionately. I studied everything I could find out about Carl Morton's, which wasn't a lot, unfortunately, but I bought his art book. I watched all of the videos that I could find. I discovered other artists with a similar style to his, and I did the same research on them. And I searched for learning resources specific to what I was trying to accomplish. And I made progress, clear visual progress. In less than a year, I went from really hating my art to being kind of happy with my art, not having arrived or anything, but feeling kind of proud of what I had at the time. And I think I even sold an artwork or two at that point. Most importantly, I hadn't burned out, I hadn't grown bored, and I hadn't quit. I'd stuck with my practice. And with time, my style has evolved to be a combination of just things that I enjoy doing, things that I think look good in a painting, and a bunch of different techniques and elements that are borrowed from a wider pool of role models. You might be worrying that focusing on just one role model or one direction in your art practice is going to feel limiting, and it might. We are all different. Maybe you already have a bunch of artists that you have admired for a long time. You just have kind of forgotten about them, and choosing one of them will just be a great jumping off point for you. It will give you a lot of freedom and excitement to do that, but there are benefits to my initial scattered approach of learning art as well. I had no specific role models at the time. I just had a Pinterest inspiration board with a bunch of art from artists I didn't even know the names of. I wasn't sure what I enjoyed, and trying out a bunch of different subjects and different art mediums, different styles, allowed me to sort of rule out all of the stuff that wasn't exciting to me. And then I could more comfortably zero in on the things that I did enjoy, like birds and animals. Oh my god, there's a robin singing outside. It's springtime here in Sweden and the birds are singing. I'm so happy. Anyways, if that is you right now and you absolutely hate the idea of choosing an initial focus, that is okay. My recommendation would be to give yourself an initial period of unconditional exploration, where you're allowed to dip your toe in everything that excites you. Try out different art mediums, try out a lot of different subjects, and see what you like and see what you don't like. And then you might be more comfortable with looking for a particular role model and focusing your practice more. Focusing is just temporary. I don't know of any artist who does just one thing. Most of us like to dabble in at least a few different art mediums and subjects, and that is healthy. And we go through many different evolutions and chapters in our lives as artists. Today, I work in several different mediums, not just watercolor. I do some acrylic painting. I love charcoal drawing. I love oil painting sometimes. I draw and paint other subjects like portraits and landscapes and insects. And I have a whole slew of different art role models. I have role models for charcoal drawing and oil painting and portraiture and landscapes and animals. And when I come across a new artist that blows my mind with their art, I'm no longer paralyzed by that envy like I was before. Instead, I'm just excited to add another artist to my long list of influences and to start learning from them. I can't overstate how important actual human role models are in creative professions. Maybe I'm stating the obvious here and you're like, yeah, duh. But at the same time, I hear so many artists online say stuff like, I want to learn art, where do I start? Don't worry about learning art. Find your art heroes. The people that make you go, I want to be able to do what they're doing. I want to feel what creating on that level feels like. Find those people and then go from there, because that will give you everything you need. You will get a clear goal. You will know exactly what to practice and what to ignore for now. You will know which art mediums to start with, what subjects to focus on. You will get a bunch of artwork to analyze and do master studies of. That's recreating someone else's artwork for learning purposes. And you will get this deep drive to practice that's not based on external results or a bunch of shoulds. And if you feel jealous of them, that's great. That means you've struck gold. That means there is something there for you to learn and to be inspired to pull into your own toolbox as an artist. The reason we get jealous of other artists is because we have these subconscious beliefs about learning art that I talked about in the previous video. We believe that others are somehow born with a talent that we can never achieve, that we can't possibly learn to do what they do, that we can't possibly build a style that's as original as theirs. None of these assumptions are correct. There is a method to what another artist is doing, a kind of recipe. And that recipe consists of a bunch of role models and influences, a preferred topic, an art medium, and just lots and lots of hours of practicing and exploring in their art practice. That is how they arrived at their skill level and their style. That is how you will arrive at your skill level and your style. And it all starts with embracing the influence of other artists, not resisting it. Your first and foremost job as a beginner artist should be to gather as much inspiration as possible from as many sources and artists as possible, especially if you feel kind of clueless about which direction you want to go in. And then you can lean into your favorite artists. You can lean into your natural interests and obsessions. These are your North Star. This is the fuel for your artistic development. How do you find your art role models? Think back to what inspired you as a kid. Most of us drew and painted as kids, and I think a lot of the time what inspired us to draw and paint were movies and TV shows and books and comics and video games. Maybe that's a good place to start looking. What is something that you read or watched or played as a kid or as an adult that made you pay attention to the visual aspects of it? Look up the artists behind that and make them your role models. Or you can start by examining your values and your interests and your hobbies. What's important to you in life? What do you enjoy doing? What do you love researching and reading about, talking about? Maybe family is very important to you, or love, or a connection to nature, or spirituality, body positivity, a cause of some kind. It could be anything. It could be just a weird obsession, like you love patterns or geometric figures. All of these things could potentially inspire your art practice. Start looking at art that explores these topics that you're drawn to, and sooner or later you will come across an artist whose story and perspective and style really intrigues you, and then that's your entry point. When you find a role model, follow them if possible. They don't have to be necessarily living artists, but it helps if they are living artists. Find out everything you can about them. How do they get started? Why do they make the kind of art that they make? What inspires them? What are their role models? Find out everything you can about their process. Try to see them in action if possible. Gather all of their works in one place so you can get an overview of it. And this could be something like a Pinterest board, it could be a collection of saved posts on Instagram, it could be a folder on your computer or in your Apple Photos. I have a Notion template called the Artist's Studio Companion that has a feature that I call the Style Planner, where you can upload artwork by artists that inspire you and you can analyze it, you can view it side by side with your own art, which I feel helps a lot when you're trying to learn from another artist and just improve your own art in general. That template is linked down below if you're interested. Start thinking about why you love the art that you love. And I know this can be hard as a beginner, but bear with me because that is the topic of the next video in this series. For now, just look at all of the art that inspires you and write down anything that comes to mind. It could be anything like, I love the way they draw facial expressions on their characters, or I like the colors that they use, or the way they paint light in a landscape scene. In the next video in this series, we will demystify analyzing art and build your vocabulary of art language so that when you look at a piece of art you love, you'll be able to pinpoint why you love it and be able to recreate that in your own art. This will not only allow you to start learning from your role models for free, but it's also a crucial skill when troubleshooting your own art and learning from your mistakes. If you're not subscribed to this channel, I recommend doing so and maybe hitting the bell icon to not miss any upcoming videos. Thanks for watching today, and I will see you in the next one.